My name is Randy Pitchford. I'm the president of Gearbox Software. I'm director of development, also directing Counter-Strike Condition Zero. Obviously, the big deal is that it's now a complete game. There's a single-player game as well as the popular online action game. The single-player game takes a lot of cues from what makes the multiplayer game fun, but we're happy to be able to introduce it to folks that maybe are not connected to the internet or people that don't have broadband capability that aren't necessarily having a fun experience on the internet. The other thing we're doing in the single player and simulated multiplayer modes is to sort of bring people up to with their skills, teach people how to play the game in a safe and fun environment, kind of reward the new user a little bit more than what Counter-Strike currently does. For fans of the original game, there's new technology, there's new content, new characters, new weapons, new artificial intelligence. There's actually bots now that are part of the package, so there's a lot of reasons to get involved. The single-player game is really exciting for us for two reasons. One, the subject matter is really interesting, even more so than when we started the game. And two, the game design is kind of new. It's actually the most innovative first-person shooter I've worked with since I worked with the Duke 3D stuff back when I was at 3D Realms. The innovation comes from a new paradigm. In trying to overcome the struggle of figuring out how to take what's fun about Counter-Strike and making a single-player game out of it, we could have done, the easy route, which is the standard linear shooter. Just open up a room, wake up the monsters there, kill them, and then proceed to the next room. That's kind of boring to us now. We've kind of expended that. So we've actually taken cues from other games, even in the console world, games like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, where there's lots of ways to approach an environment. In Counter-Strike Online, we become extremely familiar with these environments, and they're very solid, and they're designed to spend a lot of time in them. So in the single-player game, we wanted to provide lots of objectives and lots of interesting gameplay incentives so that people can approach the problem lots of different ways. So not only is the AI dynamic, so they approach the problem differently every time you play, but your objectives change every single time you play as well. The AI is really exciting for us. We started by looking at all of the commercial games out there that have bot AI, and we also played a lot of end-user bots, things that level designers and programmers on the internet have worked together to kind of create. And that collaboration has provided the best success. In fact, one of the bots was called the Pod Bot. A guy named Marcus, who lives in Germany, wrote it. And we actually recruited him because we found that was the best bot available on the internet. So we connected him with our team, our guys that are really good at the traditional style AI. The guys that first introduced squad-type AI in Opposing Force, where you had friendly characters actually fighting alongside of you. And we also gave him access to the engine now, which is something he never had before. And with the availability of getting into the engine, with the exposure to professional programmers who have been doing this for a long time, and with this innovative new approach, we've been able to reach new ground with the artificial intelligence. And I think the biggest step that we've made, the biggest stride we've made is in two directions. First, allowing the characters to actually communicate with each other. Instead of a lone entity following his own rules and his own schedules, they'll actually communicate with each other and work together. If one guy is reloading, other guys will cover him if he asks for assistance, and that makes sense for that scenario. The other key thing that's improved the AI so much is giving them the ability to learn. If the player manages to find a way to exploit the AI, finds like a really sweet spot where he can snipe a guy every single time in the exact same place as they come around a corner, for example, the AI will start to learn this. And they'll learn it very quickly, and they'll avoid that location. In fact, they'll approach the problem from new angles. And it works vice versa. If they have successes in certain areas, they'll remember that as well and adapt their strategy. In the gameplay itself, some of the objectives that you'll do are narrative-based, things that we may already be familiar with, like rescuing the hostages or defusing the bomb or assassinating this target. But some of the new objectives are really interesting. They're more about the fun. We found all kinds of different ways to challenge ourselves in playing the game, and we wanted to encourage that, and we've created objectives around that. So we'll do everything from defending a location where I'll get my squad together and hold this spot, and we actually adapt the AI so they'll now assault the spot in units, in squads, and that becomes a very interesting, like, hold the Alamo situation. Other times it's almost nonsensical, like run around the map and collect these 5 objects which are hidden in these locations. We try to apply context, so it might be briefcases with secret documents or caches of money, things like that. But for the most part, it's for a gameplay mechanic, and some of them are really extreme. Don't really have a lot of logic to them at all, just for the sake of the challenge. For example, complete this mission getting 3 kills with a knife. that's a difficult task in a lot of cases. Or complete this mission without reloading your gun. So now I have to defeat my first enemy with the clip that I've got, and make sure that when I kill my first target that I take his gun and kill the next one. I'm not allowed to reload if I want to achieve that bonus. It's kind of an interesting challenge. So we're able to encourage the player to think about playing the game in different ways, develop different skills, and use the full gamut of equipment and weapons that are available to them in the game, rather than just becoming comfortable and familiar with just one weapon that they use over and over again. As the squad leader, you're dealing with hotspots around the world. These include South America, where there's drug lords, and even the United States, where you deal with these militia extremists. Of course, you'll go to the Middle East, Arctic Russia, urban Europe, and even the Far East in Asian territories. And that's really exciting because it's kind of new environments for us. We've actually added quite a few new weapons to the game, added quite a lot of content, not just weapons. But the weapons are really exciting because a lot of the weapons we've chose to add new strategies and new tactical solutions to old problems in the game. Not flaws, but just tactical problems. For example, there's now a Ballistic Shield, which is a defensive device. I can actually absorb or repel all manner of small arms fire. So working in teams, I can have a sniper working together with a guy with a Ballistic Shield, and we can now have new lines of fire that weren't available to us, even in the classic Counter-Strike maps, and this presents really interesting new tactical situations. There's also new weapons like the Law Rocket, which this is a anti-tank weapon that's used as an anti-personnel device. It's really an interesting application for it. Some of the other weapons are great, like the M60 is very different from the existing, the SAW, the Para, because it allows you to really lay down suppressing fire. Obviously, it's wildly inaccurate if I try to run around with it Rambo style, but if I hunker down and I really go cyclic with that thing, it starts to become really accurate, and I can lay down suppressing fire. We've also added detail to the characters, to all the objects actually, so that you'll see in the characters there's an improvement of at least 75% in the polygonal detail and texture detail of these characters. But we've done it without sacrificing frame rate because we've also added a level of detail system. So if you're comfortable running the game, running Counter-Strike with your machine now, you'll run Condition Zero just fine, but it may look better for you if you've got nicer hardware, which is a nice thing to add. Actually, one of the exciting things that's happened at GDC is Valve's announced Steam technology, and basically allows them to deploy content at will. Content could include updates to the code, and part of this effort that they've endeavored to complete is to defeat cheating once and for all. Obviously, you can't defeat it once and for all, so it's an ongoing process, and they've developed technology to do that. The Valve guys will actually be discussing this technology in more detail moving forward, but I think they're really excited to finally deploy something that they've been working on for actually about a year now to get rid of this problem on the internet.